Hi, Sandra Diaz here. Presentation on final project. I did a one prop z-test, and my question was, how many students have test anxiety? According to the American Test Anxieties Association, 18% of students have high test anxiety. I chose this project because people with test anxiety don't perform very well. They get so stressed out about passing, and I'm interested in how many people have experienced test anxiety because I suffer from high test anxiety, and I feel that it's a growing epidemic in our society. And schools should help those students who suffer from it and give them measurements to manage their anxiety. So, test anxiety is a psychological condition in which people get really nervous and worried before or during a test because they fear they will perform poorly. It can cause feelings of anxiousness and hurt test performance. It can manifest in cognitive symptoms such as racing thoughts and blanking out. Emotional symptoms are fear, anger, and feeling helpless. It can also cause physical symptoms such as nausea, racing heart, headache, and tense muscles, just to name a few. My data represents the number of students in Osceola County schools that have test anxiety. My alpha is 5% because it's standard. And my sampling method was I asked 50 random students within Osceola County schools if they experienced test anxiety and checked off their yes or no answers on a spreadsheet. Population included all Osceola County schools, 50 randomly selected students, and I avoided bias by randomly questioning students from middle schools, high schools, and colleges, males, females, and different ethnicities. My data here is represented at 38 out of 50 said yes, and 12 out of 50 said no. I did a graph, I did a pie chart. Do you have test anxiety? 24% here is no, and 76% is yes. My hypothesis test was HO is equal to 0.18, and HA is greater than 0.18. The proportion of Osceola students have test anxiety is greater than 18%, so equal to and greater than. I checked the conditions, random, checked condition 1, checked, condition 2, checked, large sample, verified, and condition 3, verified. The calculations worked out, P 0.18 and P hat was 0.76 with a number of 50. I did the standard error calculation, came out to 0.054, and my z-score was 10.74. I did the calculator, one prop z-test, and the numbers were very, very close. Z was 10.68 on the calculator. Conducted the test. The test statistics was z.1068, and the p-value, it came out to 0. Whole bunch of zeros, and it was averaged out of zeros. I included a graph for that and checked it off to the alpha. The conclusion is we reject HO. There is statistically significant evidence to reject HO. P is equal to 0. We conclude the proportion of Osceola County students who have test anxiety is greater than 18%. Once we did the calculations, we completed a confidence interval, and at the 95% interval rate, and after calculating plus or minus p hat plus or minus z star times standard error, came out to 0.654 and 0.866. Did the prop z test, the one on the calculator, and conclude we are 95% confident that the proportion of Osceola County students who have test anxiety is between 64.16% and 87.84%. Reflections and the lessons that I learned. The project's been enlightening. I've been out of school for a long time. I did the research. I learned their online resources have a considerable amount of information in which I can use to manage my stress and share it with my daughter, who also suffers from test anxiety. I also learned a lot about how to input data into spreadsheets in Word, and so I got some technology lessons out of it too. It was a good project. Thank you.